Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Dram Show with me, Chris Goodrum. As you can obviously see from the introduction picture, it's Jack Daniels time. Yes, indeed. Well, not entirely Jack Daniels. We're looking at the two distilleries that can be found in Tennessee. Yes, we're looking at Jack Daniels, but we'll also be looking at the lesser well-known of the two distilleries, the George Dickel distillery, and I think it's about time that we had a look at Tennessee. I mean, I've done a few videos so far on various bourbons and American whiskey, so that was probably about time we had a look at these two distilleries. What can you say about Jack Daniels? I mean, well, it's a huge brand. I mean, it's kind of, you know, beloved by you know, rock stars and what have you, and it's got a bit of a mixed reputation, really, hasn't it? To be honest with you, I mean, this stuff, the old number 7, you know, it's, you know, chuck it with Coke and and that's about it. I mean, but you know, you have to hand it to them. You know, they have sort of created this bad boy image and you know, sell buckets of the stuff. I mean, the distillery itself is obviously based in a town called Lynchburg in Tennessee, and depending upon whether you believe the official distillery line or other, it was either founded by a chap called Jasper Newton Daniels in either 1866, if you believe what the distillery says, or possibly in 1875, that some other people believe is when the distillery first started. Either way, it's like I say, it's a huge brand. It's currently owned by Brown-Forman, who have owned it since 1956, and it was, like I said, it was founded in, well, you know, in the late 1800s, and it was you know, produced up until about until 1910, when obviously there was a prohibition in certainly prohibition within Tennessee, and production was then moved to two sites, one in St. Louis, Missouri, and one in Birmingham, Alabama, apparently. None of the spirit that was distilled during that period allegedly was released due to quality issues, shall we say, and production returned to Tennessee in 1938 with the repeal of prohibition. So it's been, you know, it's an iconic brand, like I said, but the question is it any good? Has it sort of, you know, justifiable reputation for sort of drowning in Coke, or is it actually quite pleasant to drink? That we will find out in due course. The other distillery, the George Dickel distillery, which is found in a place called Cascade Hollow, less well known, which I think is a big shame, really. And when you consider that it's owned by Diageo, who you know, own an absolute fistful of distilleries and brands and things like that, not so much is heard of it. You know, I mean, most people that have, like I said, they know Jack Daniels but never heard of George Dickel. So you know, time to look at a couple of bottlings from them. Apparently the distillery was founded in 1877, and then passed through sort of a number of hands until it was apparently bought by the Shenley Distilling Company in 1937, who ironically attempted to buy Jack Daniels in 1931, but failed in that. So they thought, well, you know, we'll buy the other one. So like Jack Daniels, obviously productions in Tennessee ceased in 1910 and was moved to Kentucky, but as far as I'm aware, they had no production issues, so I think they carried on you know, selling and producing spirit there, and just like Jack Daniels, it returned to Tennessee in 1937-38, so that's a little bit of history about these two distilleries. So shall I introduce one of them tasting this afternoon? You lucky Right, okay, so no tasting of Jack Daniels would be complete without the ubiquitous Old Number 7, bottled at 40%. Like I said, you know, synonymous with being drowned in Coke. Is that fair? Is it good to drink on its own? You know, we shall find out, and in due course, shall we say. This one here, this is the single barrel bottling that they do. Apparently the single barrel range was introduced in 1997 by the distillery, and obviously being a single barrel bottling, you will get you know, occasional changes in quality, no doubt. This particular sample, it's a little bit of an old one, it has to be said. It's from a bottling that was done in the 12th of September 2008. Barrel number 8/3277, and I've had it knocking around now since about 2009. So it could be showing a few signs of wear and tear, but you know, we'll see how that goes on. And George Dickel then. So we have two bottlings from George Dickel. This one is called the number 8, and this one here is called the number 12. Don't know the age. That doesn't give any indications of age. Likewise, obviously with the Jack Daniels range. So it will be interesting to see how they compare with each other. So anyway, guess that's enough waffling. And shall we start with the Old Number 7 then? Right. Okay. So. No aspiring rock star would be without their bottle of Jack, but you know, let's see what the nose gives us then. God, that's sweet. That is really sweet. Corn fat, caramelled. Although interestingly enough, it doesn't have that burnt caramel character. It's just really sweet. Lots of sweet oak. I mean, it's verging on the slight sickliness, it has to be said. I mean, you know, it's kind of, well, I wouldn't quite go as far as saying it's girly, but it's sort of just really sweet, fairly simplistic. Not exactly a huge amount of balancing rye. A little bit of earthiness, little floral violet note. I mean, it's not a bad spirit. I mean, it's far from you know, spirity and nasty. It's just really sweet. You know, and if that's the sort of thing, you know, that you like, then fine. Personally, as you well know, I like my ryes. I like my high content rye bourbons, and I find that sort of, you know, it adds a counterpoint. It balances out the sort of like the corn sweetness. And unfortunately for me, this bottling certainly doesn't have that. But anyway, you know, it's not bad. It is what it is. It's churned out in, you know, a bucket full. So anyway, let's have a look at the palate. It's a bit short. It's a bit of bittering on the finish. It's the alcohol kind of shortens it. Like the nose, it's pretty sweet to start off with. Lots of corn, maybe a little bit of rye, a little bit of pepperiness, but it's very short. It's very short and alcoholic on the finish. Like I said, a little bit of bittering from the oak as well. It's all right, you know. I mean, it's not bad spirit. It's just, it is what it is, I guess. You know, I mean, I don't know what it retails for, but it's not particularly expensive, you know. And I suppose at the end of the day, you buy a bottle of Jack, you know what you're kind of getting. So that said, although it's not bad, it's not brilliant, should we say? But There you go. That's the old number 7 for you.
Down to the living room, closer as the lights dim.
Right, okay, let's have a look at the single barrel. Right, so we're expecting a lot more from this. It's sort of pretty much well over double the price of the old number 7. So let's see what the nose gives us in. Now that's a lot better. I mean, you can certainly see that it's got a lot more. It's got a darker colour for a start. There's a lot more oak interaction, but it has sort of some lovely woody, spicy, slightly treacly notes. Some nice oak, a little bit of violet, some rye. That's a lovely nose, actually. I mean, it's really dense, it's full, it's packed. Getting quite floral now. Lovely intensity, really good. Palate. Oh, really woody, really spicy. Lots and lots of crisp, lovely rye on the finish. I mean, that goes to show that Jack Daniel's actually produces some absolutely wonderful spirit. It's really harmonious. Like I said, there's a lot more rye, giving it a fresh spiciness. Slightly elevated alcohol level, again, sort of giving it a little bit more of a sort of a mouth-watering crispness. The corn is sort of nicely there. There's some good wood, you know, and it's all pretty harmonious, all really nicely put together. So, but you know, an absolute mile away from the old number 7. I mean, it's sort of, you know, where the old number 7 is sort of like confected and sweet and a bit. This is a proper bourbon, or proper whiskey, I should say. It's got depth. It's got character. Yeah, it's worth the price tag in my opinion. It might not be quite up there with, say, sort of some of the you know, some of the Buffalo Trace and stuff like that, but yeah, I mean, saying that, I've tasted the 17-year-old Eagle Rare, which sometimes can be absolutely sublime, sometimes you know, same with the 10-year-old. I certainly think it's sort of you know, worth the price tag. So yeah, nice. Right, okay, let's have a look at the first of the two bottlings from George Dickel. Both of these are bottled at 45%, which incidentally is the same ABV as the single barrel. So let's see what all the nose gives us then, shall we? Really elegant, actually. A lot lighter than the Jack. Quite floral. I often find that George Dickel tends to be quite floral. Light violets, bit of almost sort of barley sweetness. Gentle oak, a little bit of crisp rye maybe. Yeah, it's a pleasant nose. Like I said, it's quite elegant. A little bit of sort of orangey citrus conserve maybe. A lot more whiskey-like. Like I said, certainly not as dense as, say, the single barrel, and certainly nowhere near as sweet as the old number 7. So that's nice. That's an elegant nose. Really pleasant. I like them. Again, elegant, pleasant, a little bit straightforward. quite harmonious. A little bit of corn, a little bit of rye, a little bit of a barley sweetness, some pleasant oak. Again, it's not the sort of the most complex of American whiskies that I've ever tasted, but you know, certainly nowhere near as sweet as the number 7. And like I said, yeah, it's quite harmonious, really. It's pleasant. It's, I guess, you know, depending on where you get your old number 7 from. I mean, if you buy it sort of from supermarkets at discounted price, then it's a lot cheaper. But from most places, George Dickel number 8 is going to be roughly about the same sort of price, maybe a little bit more than the old number 7. But nice peppery aftertaste. Yeah, nice whiskey.
Lazy boys and Christmas lights.
And on to the number 12. A little bit more expensive, and this is sort of coming in at about what, late 40s. Again, bottle at 45%. Let's see what the nose gives us on this. Definitely shades of the number 8, but with a little bit more depth, shall we say. Really floral. Violets. Again, sort of a barley, almost barley sweetness. A little bit of corn, some honey. Lovely maturity to the oak. I mean, I don't know, like I said, that doesn't carry an age statement. And maybe it is, you know, close to sort of like 12 years old. It's certainly got some maturity. Whereas, I mean, I would guess the old number 7, if it's 3, that's about as old as it gets. I mean, you know, they're going to churn it out, so it's pretty young and sort of unevolved. But this is absolutely gorgeous. Like I said, really aromatic, floral, gentle. Perfumed. That's a lovely nose. A little bit of toastiness from the oak coming through now, given a bit of time. That's yeah, really enjoyable. Great nose. Palate. You can tell that's a bit older. A lot of drying, not overly bitter wood spices on the finish. Again, nice balancing oak, a little bit of corn, plenty of rye, quite peppery. Again, really elegant. A little bit of violets, but it's that wonderful sort of spicy rye and wood spices and a little bit of pepper. Yeah, that's really nice, really cleansing, really almost kind of austere kind of finish to it. Yeah, that's nice. And like I said, I mean, it certainly smells, and to a certain extent tastes like it's got some age to it. So yeah, that's lovely. That's really enjoyable. Right, okay, so let's wrap this little tasting up then. What have we learned? Well, 2 very contrastingly different styles. I think you kind of like have to sort of ignore to a certain extent the old number 7, in that it's just young, it's sweet, it's got no real character. It's just sort of, it's just there, you know. I think the real Jack Daniel's style starts here with a single barrel, and it is broad, it's dense, it's got a lot of character, and certainly is, I think, quality-wise up there with some of the top bourbons. George Dickel, on the other hand, completely different style, a lot more elegant, a lot more delicate, floral, and I certainly think that you know, for people that drink this kind of stuff, you know, definitely look at the Dickel, because it is completely different, and a lot more, dare I say it, classy than the number 7. but you know, the number 7, it is what it is. You know, it's kind of, you know, you just don't have to really think about it. It's just, you know, drink it. You know, it's kind of there. You know, and I'm sure sort of what I've just said is probably going to make absolutely no dent whatsoever upon the sales of the old number 7. Like I said, it's just, you know, such an iconic brand, and well, you know, like I said, I think if for me personally, I think I'd go with the single barrel. But yeah, really interesting tasting, I think, and I hope this kind of, like, you know, if you like your American whiskies, you know, will, you know, make you sort of at least take a look at George Dickel, and yeah, I guess that's about it for this afternoon. All my tasting notes you'll find on my WordPress blog, and obviously the single barrel and the George Dickel number 12 are available to purchase via our website, www.gauntleys.com. So all that's left to say is I kind of hope you enjoyed the show, and I'll have my single barrel. Thank you very much. Good ramming.